My name is Damon Moore. I work for Manatee County Parks and Natural Resources, and I've worked with a lot of people in this room. Generally, people think of me as a projects guy. I'll reach out to a lot of scientists that know a lot about a bunch of area, go learn enough to get dangerous and do a big project off of it, and then move to the next thing. So I see some of my good native plants folks in here when I do upland restoration stuff, which I still hold on to and love it dearly. Thank you, Fran. And then, like Dave and them, I'm working on a snook project at Robinson. One of the next big things we're going to be doing at Manatee County is looking at some large-scale oyster restoration. This really came up from an article I read about 10 years ago in Bay Soundings by Ernie Estevez that kind of talked about shifting baselines. Some of the historical oyster habitats that used to be in this area that aren't anymore. I'm skipping this, you guys know where the Manatee River is. But on that note of shifting baselines, this is kind of after reading that article, I kind of went and looking for some of that historical data. I found an interesting map that called the Manatee River the Oyster River. You can see the little red arrow there on the map on the left. And then an 1876 account of this area that isn't just the Manatee area, but kind of calls out all of Sarasota Bay, just kind of everything around here. And kind of down there in the area where I've underlined a couple of things, you can see the one is oysters everywhere, and then how little did I think then, basically, that in 25 years, everything would be partially or totally depleted. So my whole life, I've known the Manatee River basically as it is, with pretty decent water quality, but a lot of big sandy bottoms. I didn't know that we had a big history of dredging all those sandy bottoms up. I got really curious about that and pulled up the state severance records from when they were mining the bottoms of the rivers and bays around here. And the Bradenton Shell Company, and this is just what they self-reported and pay, so that they could pay the state. They recorded 650,000 cubic yards of material that was harvested off the bottom of the Manatee River. So then, to the aerials. Like, where did this happen? So I started looking around and thinking, like, well, where I know, like, if you drive over Manatee Avenue, when you go to the Braden River, you look to the right, you see these real big, pretty oyster beds over there. And you look to the left, you see wood storks on a good day, but you don't see those same oyster beds over there. So if you look at isn't this a pointer? I've always done this. If you look at the one on the left, you can see behind the dot dash colony islands these kind of dark signatures. And then the one on the right, those dark signatures are gone. So either that was a bunch of tape grass or probably oyster shell. But when I look to the south of the bridge and see big happy oyster bars down there where a big barge couldn't get to, I tend to think that was probably oysters. So yesterday when the directors panel, the estuary program directors were up here and they talked about we had done a lot of the low-hanging fruit, I think that the Manatee River might contain a big ripening peach with a branch that's kind of coming down low. And then as I've been getting more and more interested in this project, I was really lucky that one of the aerials they took there was on a nice low tide. So this is right at I-75, and mostly what's on here is the area to the west. So you've got these big shallow banks, which would have been really good to mine oyster shell off of. Wow, 1 minute. And then just in from there, you have good, healthy, happy oysters. And to kind of get an idea of the scale for that is kind of keep this area in mind. There's the inset where figure 1 is, and you see that same signature of these fairly easy to permit because we don't have the seagrasses and stuff back in here, but also from downtown Bradenton all the way back out east of the interstate, it's kind of a prime zone that looks like it might be good for really good oyster projects. Manatee County has put in one of their state expenditure plan Restore Act projects. I think it was about $1 million to try to create kind of a master plan to come up with this, similar to Charlotte Harbor. And I'm hoping a big chunk of that goes into big pilot projects so we can kind of firsthand prove whether these things now will work. And then everybody in here who knows how to get their hands to money with these big other agencies, kind of get some momentum here and let's do something really big in the river there. So that's what I got.